Welcome. You are watching Flat Earth Science, where we explore the laws of perspective in real observations. We trust our senses to be the arbiters of truth, yet we live in a world of constant optical deception. Every moment, the light hitting your retina presents a version of reality that is technically accurate to the eye, but fundamentally misleading to the mind. We navigate through a landscape of shifting scales and vanishing points, believing we are seeing the world as it truly is, when in reality, we are merely interpreting a projection. The tension lies in the gap between what we observe and what actually exists, a gap that can lead to profound confusion when we try to reconcile our visual experience with the physical laws governing the universe. To all our flat Earth believers, before we begin, please head to the comments and share what convinces you of your views. How did you arrive at this conclusion, and how do others perceive you? Trust me, everyone will be interested to hear your story. You are not alone. This is not a simple matter of optical illusions or simple tricks of the light. It is a fundamental question of how a finite observer interacts with an infinite reality. To look at the horizon is to witness a constant, silent contradiction, a line that seems to hold a place, yet moves as we move. We struggle to reconcile the flat planes we perceive with the vast, spherical truth of our world. For some, these discrepancies are mere curiosities, trivialities, to be brushed aside in the pursuit of daily life. But for a certain type of observer, these inconsistencies are a persistent, quiet tension, a feeling that the math of our vision doesn't quite add up to the truth of our surroundings. If you are someone who has always felt a slight, inexplicable friction between what you see and what you know to be true, then this inquiry is for you. This is not meant for the casual observer who is content with surface-level appearances, nor for those who find the nuances of spatial geometry irrelevant to their journey. It is intended for the person who looks at the distance and feels the mystery of the vanishing point, or who watches a ship disappear and wonders about the geometry of the void. This exploration is for the seeker who understands that our eyes do not merely record the world, they translate it. By the end of this journey, you will not just understand the mechanics of perspective. You will possess a new way of seeing, learning to look past the optical trick to find the profound reality hidden in plain sight. Before we begin, give this a like if you're aiming for more mindfulness. Then let me know in the comments why this matters to you. Laws of perspective in real observations. Why do our eyes lie to us? Why do our eyes lie to us? It is a question that strikes at the very heart of how we perceive the reality placed before us by the Creator. We are taught from a young age to trust our senses, yet we are constantly told that our senses are deceptive, that we must look beyond physical to find the truth. But let us pause and examine the mechanics of the observer. When we look at a long, straight railway track stretching toward the horizon, or a massive mountain range fading into the haze, our eyes tell us that the objects are shrinking, that they are becoming smaller as they recede. The modernists call this mathematical perspective, a geometric vanishing point that supposedly proves a curved surface. They use these optical illusions to build elaborate models of a globe, claiming that the vanishing of objects is proof of a curvature. But is it not more logical to consider that the eye itself is a tool of perspective? In the realm of real observation, perspective is a function of the observer's position, not necessarily the shape of the ground. If you stand in a vast field, A distant tree appears small, but it does not become a tiny speck that disappears behind a curve. It simply occupies a smaller portion of your visual field. The laws of perspective are not proofs of a spinning sphere, but are the natural result of how light travels from a fixed point to a human eye. We are told that the horizon always rises to meet the eye level, a claim used to suggest a curvature that isn't there. Yet, when we observe the physical reality, the level sea, the stationary Earth, the way light interacts with the atmosphere, we see a different story. The eye is not being lied to by the world. Rather, the human mind is being tricked by its own interpretation of visual data. We are trained to interpret vanishing as curving, when in reality, it is merely the natural tapering of sight. The tragedy of modern science is that it has taken a natural optical phenomenon and turned it into a dogmatic prison. We have been conditioned to believe that our eyes are constantly deceiving us of the Earth's flatness. Yet we use the very same eyes to navigate, to build and to live. Why should we trust complex, invisible mathematics over the clear empirical evidence of our own vision? This is where the deception deepens. The modern educational machine wants you to believe that your senses are unreliable, so that you will depend on their experts to tell you what is real. If they can make you doubt the stability of the ground beneath your feet, they can make you doubt everything. They want you to live in a world of theoretical models, rather than a world of observable truths. If we did not understand these laws of perspective, we would be lost in a fog of confusion, unable to distinguish between a distant city and a microscopic grain of sand. But we must be careful. If we use the vanishing point to justify a global model, we are ignoring the fact that the vanishing point is a feature of a flat plane viewed from a finite position. The ancients understood this. They lived in a world of firmament and fixed horizons, where the Earth was the stationary stage for the drama of creation. To live rightly is to align our intellect with the truth that is visible. We must stop trying to correct our eyes with convoluted theories, and instead learn to read the world as it was designed to be read. When we master the laws of perspective, we realize that the horizon is not a curve to be chased, but a limit of our vision in a vast, stationary, and beautifully ordered creation. The vanishing point mystery. Now, let us turn our gaze toward the most perplexing riddle of the visual realm, the vanishing point mystery. In the modern classroom, we are taught that as parallel lines stretch toward the horizon, they must eventually converge to a single, infinitesimal point. We are told that this is an inescapable geometric truth, a mathematical necessity of a spherical geometry. But let us pause and look at the world through the lens of real observation, rather than through the distorted glass of a textbook. If we observe a long, level stretch of land or a straight railway track, do we truly see lines merging into nothingness, or do we see something else? The mystery lies in the tension between the abstract math of the geocentric model and the physical reality of our senses. When you stand before a vast plain, the vanishing point is not a destination where the earth meets the sky, or where matter dissolves into a point of nothingness. It is a psychological illusion, a mere byproduct of how our eyes process light and distance. The vanishing point is a phantom of perspective, a limit of human vision, not a physical boundary of the earth. In a world designed with precision, the horizon is not a curve that pulls the ground away from us. It is a level line that rises to meet our eye level as we ascend. The mystery is not why the lines converge, but why we have been taught to believe that their convergence is proof of a globe. Think of the tragedy of this masonry, how we have trained the human mind to distrust its own eyes in favor of complex equations. We have been told that if we cannot see the curve, it is because our perspective hides it, turning the truth into a game of hide and seek. This is the great deception, the idea that the vanishing point is a physical wall where the Earth disappears. In reality, it is simply the limit of the observer's range. Just as a mountain peak seems to shrink as you move away, but remains a solid, massive structure, the horizon is simply the limit of the atmospheric veil. The math of perspective is a tool of the artist, used to create depth on a flat canvas, but it has been hijacked by modern theorists to serve a globalist narrative. Why is this so important? Because the ability to distinguish between a mathematical abstraction and a physical reality is the difference between being a master of one's environment or a servant to a theory. If the vanishing point were a real physical convergence, the geometry of our world would be a chaotic mess of vanishing matter. But we see a world of stability. We see a world where the laws of perspective work perfectly on a stationary, level plane. The modern establishment wants you to believe that the vanishing point is an enigma that can only be solved by a globe. But the truth is far simpler. It is a visual effect of perspective on a vast, flat expanse. When we recognize that the vanishing point is a result of our perspective and not a physical destination, we reclaim the truth of our origins. We see that the world is not a spinning, lonely ball, lost in an infinite void, but a beautifully structured, fixed foundation. The mystery is solved when we realize that the lines do not meet because the Earth is curved. They appear to meet because our vision is finite. By understanding this, we stop being victims of a visual illusion and start living in the reality that was placed before us from the very beginning. To solve the mystery, we must first trust the eyes that were given to us to observe the magnificent, level work of the Creator. How distance hides the truth. Consider the horizon. To the modern eye, it is often presented as a mathematical vanishing point, a curved boundary where the Earth falls away into the abyss of space. But let us look closer, not through the lens of a distorted textbook, but through the clarity of real observation. We are told that distance is a great veil, a mechanism that hides the physical reality of our world by shrinking mountains and flattening the vastness of the sea. They say that as objects recede, they diminish according to laws of geometry that make the distant seem small or the far off seem tucked behind a curve. But is this truly the law of perspective? Or is it merely the limitation of our human sight being used to mask a much more profound truth? In the realm of real observation, we see that the vanishing point is not a physical wall, but a limit of the human eye. When a ship sails away or a distant tower fades into the mist, the mainstream tells us it is vanishing because of the Earth's curvature. Yet, we know that the atmosphere is a thick, fluid medium, a soup of moisture and light. Distance does not just hide things, it obscures them through the law of atmospheric opacity. The truth is often hidden, not because the Earth is a ball, S, but because the eye cannot pierce the density of the air. We are taught to believe that distance is a cosmic distance, stretching billions of miles. Yet we live in a world where the very air we breathe acts as a filter, a veil of refraction that plays tricks on our perception. When we observe a distant mountain, we are seeing it through layers of the atmosphere, a process that can make a massive, stationary object appear to shrink or vanish, leading us to believe it has moved beyond a physical horizon. This is the great deception of modern optics, the idea that what we see is an absolute measure of distance. We are told that, because a distant object looks small, it must be far away in a void. But the laws of perspective in a stationary, level world suggest something else. If the atmosphere can magnify or shrink an object based on the density of the air and the angle of light, then the vanishing we witness is merely a visual limit. The truth is being hidden by the very medium that sustains us. We are led to believe in a vast, empty vacuum to make us feel small, to make us feel like insignificant specks in a cold, endless nothingness. By making the truth seem unreachable, they make the lie seem inevitable. Think of the tragedy in this misunderstanding. We have built entire systems of navigation, physics, and globalist economics on the assumption that these visual vanishing points are absolute proofs of a globe. We rely on satellites and GPS, technologies that are actually just sophisticated ground-based and high-altitude radio waves, while being told they prove a massive spinning sphere. We are being fed a diet of false mathematics to hide the simplicity of the creation. If we can trust our eyes to see the horizon as a level plane, why do we let the theory of the curve override the evidence of our own senses? We must learn to look past the refraction. We must understand that the horizon is not a curve to fall over, but a limit of vision. When we master the true laws of perspective, we realize that the truth has been right in front of us all along, waiting for us to stop believing the myth of the vanishing curve and start seeing the reality of the plane. Where did the ship go? Wait, where did the ship go? Now, let us cast our eyes toward the horizon, where the sea meets the sky in a seamless blue embrace. Imagine you are standing on a shore, watching a great vessel sail away. It is a scene as old as time, a moment where man has always sought to measure the infinite. As the ship recedes, it grows smaller, its mast shrinking, its hull narrowing, until it becomes a mere speck. The modernists, with their mathematical models and their curved Earth geometries, will tell you that the ship is actually disappearing behind the curvature of the Earth. They claim it is being swallowed by the bend of the globe, hidden by the physical barrier of the Earth's shoulder. They want you to believe that the ship is gone because the geometry of a sphere has physically cut it from your sight. But let us pause. Let us look closer at the reality before us. Wait, where did the ship go? If you take a powerful telescope, if you bring your eyes closer to the truth through the lens of observation, what do you find? The ship does not reappear as a full-sized vessel. It remains a small, distant object. If the globe were truly hiding the ship, the telescope should theoretically bring it back by revealing the hull that was supposedly lost behind the curve. But the ship simply stays there, a miniature version of its former self, still subject to the laws of vanishing points and atmospheric perspective. This is not a mystery of geometry. It is the perfect, elegant demonstration of the laws of perspective. The ship is not falling behind a curve. It is simply receding into the vanishing point, governed by the way our eyes perceive depth and distance in a vast, stationary plane. The tragedy of our modern education is that we have taught men to trust a calculation more than their own eyes. We have trained generations to believe that their senses are lying to them. We tell a child, trust the math, not the horizon, effectively creating an addiction to abstract models that distance us from the physical world God placed us in. This is a subtle forms of intellectual bondage. By convincing us that we live on a spinning ball, we are made to feel small, insignificant, and lost in a vacuum. We are told that the world is a chaotic, shifting sphere where nothing is stable. But the law of perspective is a constant. It is a predictable, repeatable truth that works because the observer is on a fixed, stable foundation. When we look at the horizon, we are seeing the limit of our perspective, not the limit of the world. The ancient mariners understood this. They navigated by the stars and the sea because they knew the earth was a firm, unmoving platform. Yet, modernism seeks to replace that intuitive wisdom with complex, often contradictory theories that require a PhD just to believe the ground is solid. Why is this happening? Because there is a great interest in a populace that is perpetually questioning its own senses. If you can make a man doubt his eyes, you can make him believe anything. If you can make him believe he is a cosmic accident on a spinning ball, you can make him easier to manage, easier to distract with the politics of the moment, and easier to keep from looking at the grand design of the Creator. The solution is to reclaim our observational authority. We must learn to reconcile the beauty of the vanishing point with the reality of the vast, flat expanse. We must recognize that the disappearing ship is merely a matter of scale and perspective, a testament to the depth of the world we inhabit. When we master the laws of perspective, we stop being victims of optical illusions and start becoming masters of our environment. We find that the world is not a place of vanishing truths, but a magnificent, expansive stage, perfectly designed for the human eye to witness the glory of its creation. Let us not be fooled by the curvature of a theory, but let us be guided by the clarity of the truth. The horizon always meets your eye. Now, let us cast our gaze outward and consider the most fundamental of eyewitness testimonies, the horizon. If you stand upon the shore of a vast sea or atop a silent mountain, what do you observe? You see a line that stretches perfectly level, perfectly straight, and perfectly around you. It is a level plain that rises to meet your very gaze. This is not a mere coincidence of optics. It is a physical law of perspective in real observation. In every instance, as you ascend in altitude, the horizon does not drop away to a lower curvature. Instead, it rises to meet your eye level, maintaining a perfect horizontal relationship with the observer. This is the geometry of a plane, not the geometry of a sphere. If we were standing upon a massive spinning ball, the horizon would necessitate a constant downward tilt of the observer's vision to maintain sight of the horizon line. Yet, the mathematics of the physical world tell a different story. The horizon is the vanishing point of our perspective, a limit of human vision where the earth meets the sky in a perfect, level embrace. Why then does the modern world demand that we deny what our own eyes tell us? We have been trained to distrust our senses in favor of complex, abstract mathematical models that often contradict the very ground we walk upon. This is the great tragedy of modern education. We are taught to look at a textbook to explain the world, rather than looking at the world to understand the truth. We are told that our eyes are lying to us, that the flat, level horizon is actually a curve, and that we must rely on experts to interpret the reality we inhabit. This is a subtle form of intellectual bondage. By convincing us that our senses are unreliable, those who manage our global narratives can lead us into a maze of false perceptions. They want us to believe that we are tiny, insignificant specks on a spinning marble lost in a vacuum rather than the central, purposeful creation of a master designer. To doubt the level horizon is to doubt the very design of the human eye, which was crafted to perceive the world exactly as it is. Consider the ancient wisdom that was discarded during the era of the great scientific shifts around the 1500s and 1600s. For millennia, the greatest minds understood the world as a stable, stationary plane. They understood that the horizon was a limit of perspective, a result of the vanishing point in a linear field. They didn't need satellites to tell them the Earth was level. They had the testimony of the heavens and the Earth. Today, the experts use the concept of curvature to justify immense expenditures in space-freakish technologies and globalist politics, creating a false sense of scale to make us feel small and manageable. They use these complex theories to fuel a consumerist engine that thrives on our confusion. When we are lost in a sea of sophisticated lies, we are easier to govern, easier to distract, and easier to keep from looking too closely at the truth. But let us look at the solution. The solution is a return to the empirical, the return to the observation of the real. When we acknowledge that the horizon is a level line that meets our eye, we are not just solving a geometric puzzle. We are reclaiming our sanity. We are aligning ourselves with the truth that was laid down in the beginning. This is not alternative science. It is the science of the real world. By trusting our senses as they were designed to work, we bridge the gap between the ancient wisdom and modern observation. We see that the world is a stable, magnificent stage, laid out by the Creator to be explored, not a spinning chaos. When we accept the law of perspective, we find that the world is not a place of shrinking proportions, but an expansive, purposeful realm where every eye, no matter how high it rises, finds a level horizon to meet its gaze. Why doesn't the curve drop? Now, let us turn our gaze to the most pressing question, the one that has been whispered in the ears of skeptics and shouted by the modernists if we are living on a sphere. Why doesn't the curve drop? If the Earth were a ball of a certain circumference, shouldn't the vanishing point eventually dip behind a physical curvature? Why, when we look across a vast lake or peer through a high-powered lens at a distant coastline, do the objects remain perfectly visible, centered, and level? They don't sink into the Earth. They simply fade into the distance. The modernists will tell you that this is merely an optical illusion, a trick of the vanishing point. But let us look closer at the physics of sight. In the realm of real observation, perspective is a mathematical law of geometry. When you stand on a plane and look toward the horizon, your line of sight is a horizontal vector. As objects move further away, they appear smaller and higher or lower based on the geometry of the observer, but the horizon itself always rises to meet the eye level. This is not a trick. It is the natural behavior of a level plane. If you were on a ball, the horizon would constantly descend as you ascended. Yet, in every real-world observation, the horizon stays perfectly at eye level, a constant witness to the stability of the Earth beneath our feet. The reason the curve doesn't drop is because there is no physical curve to drop into. We are observing the laws of perspective in action. In a three-dimensional space, perspective dictates that an object will diminish in size as it recedes, eventually reaching a point where it meets the horizon line. This is the same law that makes a long hallway seem to narrow to a point. To say the curve is hiding the object is to misunderstand how light travels. The vanishing point is a limit of human vision, not a physical barrier of a curved Earth. When we use telescopes to bring a distant ship back into full view, we are proving that the object was always there, perfectly visible on a flat plane, merely obscured by the atmospheric density and the limits of the eye. This is where the great deception lies. We have been taught to trust a mathematical model over our own senses. We are told to ignore the horizontal horizon and the level sea, to believe in a curvature that we can never visually verify. This is the ultimate modern addiction, the addiction to abstract theory over empirical reality. It is a form of intellectualism that separates man from the truth of his environment. Why do they want us to believe in a curve that isn't there? Because a globe is easier to control with complex mathematics. But a level, stationary Earth requires us to reckon with the majesty of the Creator's handiwork. We must stop being satisfied with supposed truths and start looking at the evidence. When we look at the horizon, we aren't looking at the edge of a ball. We are looking at the limit of our perspective on a vast, stationary plane. To believe the curve is there when it is not, is to live in a state of constant misunderstanding. We must trust our eyes, trust the geometry, and trust that the world was designed to be understood by the senses God gave us. The curve doesn't drop because the ground is a level foundation, a firm footing for all humanity. How perspective creates an illusion. Now, let us pause and examine the very mechanism of our senses, for it is here that the most profound deception takes place. When we look at the horizon, we see a line that appears to curve, a boundary that seems to wrap around the world, beckoning us to believe in a spherical geometry. But is what we see a physical reality, or is it merely a masterpiece of optical trickery? In the realm of real observations, we must distinguish between the truth of the object and the behavior of the light traveling toward our eyes. The laws of perspective are not just mathematical curiosities. They are the subtle architects of illusion. When an object moves away from an observer, it appears to shrink. When it recedes toward the horizon, it appears to flatten and vanish. This is the vanishing point, the great deceiver of the modern mind. If you stand on a vast plain or look out over a calm sea, the vanishing point creates a visual convergence that suggests a curvature where there is only a level plane. We are taught to trust our eyes, yet our eyes are subject to the laws of atmospheric refraction and the geometry of the observer's vantage point. Think of the railway tracks. They appear to meet at a single point in the distance, a mathematical impossibility if they were truly curving around a sphere, yet they are perfectly straight. The same principle applies to the horizon. The eye's natural tendency to seek a vanishing point creates the illusion of a curve, convincing the observer that they are standing on a ball, when in fact, they are merely witnessing the convergence of parallel lines in a perspective-driven space. The horizon is not a physical edge of a globe. It is the limit of our vision, a limit defined by the height of our eyes and the density of the air. This is the tragic moment of modern science. We have mastered the art of describing the illusion, but we have lost the ability to discern the truth. We have become so enamored with the elegant equations of the globe that we ignore the physical reality of our horizontal reality. We are told that the atmosphere is a fluid shell, yet we observe that the very air we breathe acts as a lens, bending light and masking the true layout of the world. This is how the globe is maintained, not by physical curvature, but by the optical refraction that tricks the eye into seeing a curve where there is only a flat, magnificent expanse. We are trapped in a cycle of false hopes, where we use advanced technology to confirm our own misconceptions, building massive satellites and complex models to justify a visual lie, while the simple, naked-eye observation is dismissed as primitive. The ancients understood this. They lived in a world where the heavens were a firmament, and the earth was a stable, stationary foundation. They did not need to fight the illusion, because they lived in harmony with the observable truth. Today, we are fed a constant stream of data designed to keep us looking up and around rather than looking at the truth. This constant movement, this false sense of a spinning, curving world, keeps humanity in a state of perpetual disorientation. If we could master the laws of perspective, we would realize that the world is a stable, designed stage, perfectly ordered for our existence. We must learn to look past the vanishing point. We must learn to see not just what the light suggests, but what the geometry proves. The truth is not found in the curve that hides the truth, but in the level ground that reveals it. The impossible geometry of a sphere. Now, let us turn our gaze toward the most stubborn of modern myths, the one that attempts to fold the very horizon into a curve and call it truth. When we speak of the laws of perspective in real observations, we are dealing with the physics of how light travels from an object to the human eye. We are dealing with the reality of the observer. But when the modernists attempt to force these observations into the impossible geometry of a sphere, they run headlong into a mathematical and physical contradiction that can only be resolved by ignoring the evidence of our own senses. Consider the geometry of a sphere. If we were truly living on a massive, spinning ball, the laws of perspective would dictate a very specific, measurable vanishing point for every object on the horizon. If the Earth were a globe, the curvature would be a constant, a relentless mathematical constant that should, by all rights, make the geometry of our observations predictable in a way that matches the curvature math. Yet, when we look at the vastness of the oceans or the distant mountain ranges, we see a perfectly level plain. The horizon always rises to meet the eye level of the observer, regardless of altitude. How can a flat plane always appear as a perfect circle around the observer, unless the observer is on a stationary, level plane? The geometry of a sphere demands that as you ascend, you should eventually have to look down to see the horizon. Yet, the higher we go, via balloon or aircraft, the more the horizon remains a perfectly flat, eye-level ring. The sphere demands a curve that the geometry of our sight simply does not provide. This is the great deception of modern science. They have taken the concept of perspective and used it as a veil to hide the truth. They claim that the vanishing point is the curve, but it is merely the limit of human vision. They use the idea of a curved horizon to explain why we don't see the bottom of a ship or a distant building. Yet they ignore the fact that when we use powerful optics, those objects reappear just as they would on a flat plane. The geometry of a sphere requires a constant, massive curvature that should mathematically hide objects behind a bulge of Earth. But we can observe with our own eyes that objects do not sink below a curve. They simply fade into the vanishing point due to the laws of atmospheric perspective. Why is this so important? Because this isn't just about shapes. It is about the integrity of truth versus the comfort of a lie. The globalists want you to believe you are a speck of dust on a spinning ball, to make you feel small, insignificant, and lost in a godless vacuum. They use this false geometry to fuel an entire economy of false physics. From satellite-based GPS theories to the massive, expensive lies of space agencies. They want to replace the firm, stable foundation of the Earth, set by the Creator, with a shifting, chaotic geometry that keeps you in a state of constant intellectual vertigo. When we realize that the geometry of the sphere is a mathematical fiction forced upon us to reconcile our observations with a flawed model, the world opens up. We see that the Earth is a stable, immovable plane, exactly as the ancients understood it and as the word describes it. We find that the vanishing point is not a curve, but a limit of perspective on a vast, level expanse. To accept the sphere is to accept a world of constant motion and instability. To accept the truth of our observations is to find the solid ground upon which the Creator placed us. Let us stop trying to bend the truth to fit the model and start fitting our models to the truth. A sudden realization of scale. Have you ever stood upon a vast, level plain and watched a distant mountain peak, or perhaps a great ship, slowly crest the horizon only to vanish into the nothingness of the distance? We are taught from the moment we can crawl that our eyes are windows to an objective truth. Yet they are, in fact, the most sophisticated deceivers we possess. We observe the vanishing point, that mathematical trick where parallel lines appear to converge, and we are told it is the curvature of a globe. But let us look closer, with the eyes of a witness rather than a student of a textbook. When we observe the laws of perspective in real physical space, we see a truth that is far more intimate than the cold, infinite vacuum they want us to believe in. The vanishing point is not a curve, it's a limit of human vision. It is the place where the atmosphere, the light, and our own finite sight meet to create an illusion of recession. This brings us to that chilling, breathtaking moment, the sudden realization of scale. Imagine, if you will, the sheer magnitude of a structure or a landscape. We are told the stars are trillions of miles away, a distance so vast it renders human life a mere mathematical error, a speck of dust lost in a cosmic void. They use this vastness to make us feel small, to make us feel insignificant, to make us feel that we are accidental wanderers in a purposeless expanse. But when you stand in the real world, the scale is not a void, it is a container. The sudden realization of scale is the moment you realize that the horizon is not a boundary of a sphere, but a limit of the eye's ability to resolve detail. When a mountain seems to sink below the horizon, it is not because the Earth is bending away from you. It is because the perspective is pulling the eye toward the vanishing point. The scale is not an infinite emptiness, but a magnificent, bounded design. How much of our modern science is built upon this false sense of scale? We are fed a narrative of infinite expansion to keep us in a state of perpetual wandering, never finding a firm place to stand. They want us to believe the scale is so vast that we are nothing, so that we might look to the experts to tell us who we are and where we belong. If the scale is infinite, then the Creator is distant, and the Earth is a lonely rock. But when you realize that the laws of perspective are simply the rules of a beautifully crafted stage, the scale shifts. It becomes a localized, magnificent theater where every distance is a measured degree of God's handigem. The sudden realization is not that we are small, but that the world is perfectly scaled for our existence. It is the realization that the distance is often just the atmosphere and the limits of our sight, not a chasm of empty space. This realization is a shattering of the modern myth of the infinite void. It is the moment the illusion of the globe-centric scale meets the reality of a fixed, stationary plane. When the scale is understood correctly, the politics of our world change. We no longer fight over the scraps of a meaningless universe. We realize we are inhabitants of a bounded, precious, and purposeful realm. We must stop being addicted to the grand, empty lies of the cosmologists and start trusting the empirical evidence of our own senses. If we can master the truth of our surroundings, we can master our lives. The scale is not our enemy. The deception of our perspective is. When we align our eyes with the truth of the created order, the vanishing point ceases to be a mystery and becomes a testament to the perfect design of our world. Why we trust the wrong math. If you look at a long, straight railroad track stretching toward the horizon, your eyes tell you the rails converge at a single point in the distance. Your textbooks tell you this is vanishing point geometry, a mathematical certainty of a curved surface. But let us pause and ask, is the math describing the reality, or is the math merely a tool we have bent to fit a preconceived conclusion? We are taught from the moment we can hold a pencil that mathematics is an absolute and infallible language of the universe. Yet, we often forget that math is a human construct, a language used to describe what we observe. When we use the same set of equations to explain everything, we aren't discovering truth. We are merely perfecting a cage. We have taken the laws of perspective, the way light travels and the way the human eye perceives distance, and used them to build a sophisticated illusion. The problem lies in the fact that we have prioritized the abstract equation over the empirical observation. In the modern era, we have become addicted to the elegance of the globe model mathematics because it provides a seamless, seamlessly perfect answer to every question. It is a beautiful, mathematical utopia that requires no actual ground to stand on. We trust the math because it is complex, and we have been conditioned to believe that complexity equals truth. But the laws of perspective in real observations tell a different story. When we observe the horizon, it is a physical line, a level plane that rises to meet the eye. If we were on a sphere, the geometry would require us to account for a constant downward curvature that simply isn't there in the visual data. Instead, we use spherical trigonometry to explain away the flatness, essentially using math to hide the very thing the math is supposed to measure. We have been taught to trust the calculation more than the witness. This is the great modern tragedy. We have replaced our senses with a calculator. We are told that our eyes deceive us, that the horizon is actually curving away, and that we must trust the complex calculus of the globe over the simple, empirical reality of our own vision. This is a form of intellectual dependency. We are being fed a diet of abstract variables so that we never have to face the raw, unadorned truth of the world as it was designed. The math is used as a veil. If the math says the Earth is a sphere, then any observation of a flat horizon is dismissed as an optical illusion or a failure to account for curvature. We have inverted the scientific method. Instead of observing the world and creating math to describe it, we create the math first and then force the world to fit into it. Who benefits from this mathematical blindfold? It is the architects of our modern worldview who desire a populace that looks to a textbook for truth rather than to the heavens and the earth. By making the truth seem too complex for the common man to grasp, without a degree, they create a divide between the educated and the ignorant. They want us to believe that the world is a complex, spinning mystery that can only be understood through the lens of their specific equations. But the truth is simpler. The math of perspective is a law of how we perceive distance on a plane. When we use the wrong geometry as our foundation, we build a tower of falsehoods that looks magnificent but has no footing. It is time to stop trusting the abstraction and start trusting the creation. We must learn to see again, not through the distorted lens of a forced equation, but through the clear, honest light of the world as it truly is. Seeing beyond the optical trick. When we stand before the vast expanse of the sea, or look toward the horizon where the sky meets the earth, we are often told that our eyes are lying to us. We are taught that the vanishing point is a mathematical necessity, a physical law that dictates the curvature of our reality. We are told that as objects recede, they must shrink, must vanish, must disappear into the geometry of a globe. But when we observe the real world as it was designed, not as it is modeled in a textbook, we encounter a profound tension between the mathematical abstraction and the physical truth. The laws of being should match the laws of our observations. Yet, we are constantly told that our senses are merely victims of an optical trick. Let us look closer at this trick. In any given observation, we see the laws of perspective at work. Parallel lines appear to converge, and distant objects appear smaller. These are indeed valid phenomena of light and optics. However, the modern educator uses these truths to manufacture a falsehood. They take the law of vanishing points and use it to claim that the earth must curve away from us, when in reality, the vanishing point is simply the limit of human vision. A ship doesn't disappear because it is moving around a curve. It disappears because of the atmospheric perspective and the way light interacts with the density of the air. The bottom of a ship or a distant mountain is lost to the horizon because of the law of perspective, not because it has fallen behind a physical wall of water. The trick lies in the assumption that smaller must mean curved. If we look at the history of human thought, we see that we have been conditioned to distrust the evidence of our own eyes. For centuries, the ancients understood the distinction between the horizontal plane and the visual horizon. They knew that the horizon always rises to meet the observer's eye level, a geometric impossibility on a sphere, yet a perfect reality on a level plane. Yet we have been led into a sort of sensory addiction, a dependency on complex calculus to explain away the simple, beautiful simplicity of the world. We are told that to be scientific is to reject the obvious in favor of the invisible. We are led to believe that the truth is so complex that it requires us to ignore the very ground we stand on. This is where the tragedy of modern education lies. We have created a world where we are taught to be skeptical of the Creator's handiwork because a mathematical model says otherwise. This is a false hope, a utopianism that promises us a perfect, spherical understanding of the universe while actually distancing us from the truth. It is a clever manipulation used to instill a sense of insignificance. If we are just specks on a spinning ball, we are small and easily controlled. But if we are centered in a stable, designed realm, we are significant. The optical trick is often used to hide the fact that the Earth is a stationary, purposeful stage for the unfolding of history. To see beyond the trick is to align our intellect with the reality of the created order. It is to realize that perspective is a tool for depth, not a proof of shape. When we master the laws of perspective, we realize they are the perfect mechanism for a vast, expansive, and stable world. We must stop letting the jargon of the modernists obscure the clarity of the horizon. We must trust that the eyes given to us are not meant to deceive, but to witness the majesty of a world that is exactly as it appears to be vast, firm, and perfectly laid out for us to inhabit. If we can master this, if we can see past the vanishing point, we reclaim the truth of our place in the cosmos, the reality revealed by your eyes. Look out your window, or better yet, step outside and cast your gaze toward the horizon. What do you see? You see a vast, sprawling expanse where the earth meets the sky in a seamless, level line. You see the vanishing point of a long, straight road as it tapers into the distance. This is the reality revealed by your eyes, yet it is the very thing modern theorists tell you to distrust. They have taught you to believe that your senses are deceptive, that the ground beneath your feet is a spinning ball, and that the horizon is a curve you simply cannot grasp. But let us ask the Socratic question: if the earth were truly a sphere, why does the horizon always rise to meet the level of your eye, no matter how high you ascend? If the geometry of our world were curved, the vanishing point would drop, yet it remains a constant, steady plane. The laws of perspective are not mere optical illusions to be explained away by complex mathematics. They are the physical manifestations of a stable, stationary creation. When we observe a ship sailing away on the sea, we see it shrink, diminish, and eventually vanish from the bottom up. The consensus tells us it is going over the curve, but the reality of perspective tells a different story. As an object recedes, it becomes smaller according to the laws of optics. It is not a matter of disappearing behind a bulge of water. It is the natural convergence of lines toward a vanishing point. If you take a powerful telescope and bring that ship back into view, you will find it has not gone over anything at all. It was simply lost to the limits of human sight. This is the reality of a flat, stationary plane, perfectly designed for the inhabitants of this realm. We live in an era of profound misunderstanding, where we are addicted to the complexity of our own cleverness. We have been fed a diet of sophisticated falsehoods that demand we ignore the evidence of our own senses to satisfy a mathematical model. Why is this? Who benefits from a world where the common man is told his eyes are lying to him? By making the truth seem complex, a certain class of thinkers ensures that we remain dependent on their experts to tell us what is real. They create a world of false hopes and false physics, where the simplicity of God's design is replaced by the chaos of a cosmic accident. They want us to feel small, lost in a vacuum, rather than centered in a purposeful, designed home. This is not merely an academic debate. It affects how we view our place in the universe and how we govern our lives. If we can be convinced that our senses are unreliable, we can be convinced of anything. We are led into a utopianism of the mind, where we chase shadows of science while ignoring the solid ground. But the truth is far more beautiful. When we align our observations with the truth of the Word, we find a world that is orderly and magnificent. The laws of perspective are not there to confuse us, but to reveal the precision of the architect. We must learn to trust the light that has been given us. To live right is to stop fighting the evidence of our own eyes and to embrace the stability of a world built to be known. If we do not master this, if we do not reclaim the truth of our physical reality, we will continue to wander in a fog of our own making, chasing a horizon that was never meant to curve. If you made it all the way to the end, leave a comment with 888. Let us know what you learned today, or if any questions came to mind. We would also love to hear your own insights or anything you'd like to add. If this channel has made an impact on your life, please share how it has helped you. Your words might provide the exact clarity someone else needs to hear right now. We live in a world of constant sensory input, where our eyes act as the primary translators of reality. But there is a silent tension between what we see and what actually exists. Our eyes are not cameras recording objective data. They are interpreters, weaving together light and shadow into a coherent story. We trust our vision because it has served us for millennia. Yet the very geometry of our perception is built upon a series of elegant deceptions. We navigate a three-dimensional world through a two-dimensional lens, constantly reconciling the vastness of space with the narrowness of our field of view. The truth is that our eyes are programmed to prioritize the immediate, often at the expense of the absolute. We see lines converging toward a vanishing point, a mathematical ghost that exists only in our minds to make sense of depth. We watch a ship descend below the horizon, not because it is sinking into the earth, but because the curve of our own perspective pulls the truth away from us. We are caught in a tug of war between the scale of the cosmos and the limits of our biological hardware. We assume the horizon is a physical boundary, a place where the world ends, when in reality, it is merely the limit of our own reach, a moving, shifting line that stays exactly as far as we are from it. To understand the laws of perspective is to realize that we are always looking through a veil of geometry. We often trust the wrong math because we mistake the visual for the structural. We see the flat, the distant, and the vanishing, and we call it reality, forgetting that the math of the sphere and the truth of the void are far more complex than a single glance can capture. To see truly is to recognize the illusion for what it is, to know that while the eye might be deceived by the vanishing point, the mind can find its footing in the truth of the scale. Ultimately, we are learning to look past the optical trick to the reality it obscures. The world is not a static image waiting to be captured, but a fluid, unfolding vastness that defies our simplest assumptions. If you have found yourself tracing these lines, looking for the logic behind the illusion, then you have begun to see. We don't just observe the world. We interpret its vastness through the narrow windows of our own existence. To master the perspective is to find peace in the fact that while our eyes may lie, the truth is always waiting just beyond the horizon, waiting for us to grow large enough to meet it. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please support the channel by giving it a like. Want more? Before you go, if this message has helped you in any way, share it in the comments. Even one sentence. Your words might be the confirmation someone else has been waiting for. Subscribe and turn on notifications. Wish us luck so we can keep making videos. Share the link with a friend who doesn't know about Flat Earth yet, or one who already knows about it. Share the link with your friends and anyone else who might be interested. Join us. See you soon.